The CFL Gambling Podcast Week 15 reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey everybody, Joe Theismann here. You're listening to SGPN. So do this, let it ride.
To the CFL Gambling Podcast Week 15 reaction show. We're deep into the season, and I don't think anything has changed from the beginning of the season if you look at some of our picks, but we're gonna get to it. YouTube.com, type in CFL Gambling Podcast. It has been an insane season. I can't wait till they crown the 111th Grey Cup champion, because the race is getting mighty fascinating, and we're going to talk all about it. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swing at Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Oh, boy. Just when you think you know the league, which is something, every once in a while, I feel like we've been having fire. I had a fire 2 weeks ago. It's been rough seas since then, but hey, there was only 3 games. I went a red hot 1-2. I feel good about 1-2. Yeah, we're gonna talk all about it. I am joined by my co-host. He went a red hot 0-3. Give it up for the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast and the UFL Gambling Podcast, Justin Mark, aka No Turn J Mark. There's no turning back on these favorites, huh? How you doing, brother?
Doing all right. There is no turning back. I think you're skimming over the most important part. We both went 2-1 totals wise. So maybe we're totals experts in the league. Maybe that's what it is.
That means I went 3-3 on the. That's a good week.
Yeah, especially in the CFL this year. So you take what you can get.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go game by game. Yeah, let's just start off game by game. Before I was gonna go talk about the race, but we'll do that in the second segment here. Well, game 1. Once again, hop on over to YouTube. We got slides and everything. Well, I just want to tell you that I hate the BC Lions. What are they doing switching quarterbacks? What are they doing? Argonauts 33, Lions 17. Argos, I mean, they did just kind of beat them down. And now they're 2-0 against BC, but 433 yards of total offense for the Argos, 25 first downs to 13. BC was just 279 yards of offense. Couldn't really run the ball. And then a strange quarterback change at halftime. I saw Rick Campbell's post game comment saying, "Well, I just wanted to, give us a little spark." Okay. I don't think he's a very good football coach. Am I crazy to believe that? But maybe you're seeing the game differently. Your thoughts on this game, and is Chad Kelly the best player in the league?
Oh, don't start with that. Don't get me riled up this early in the morning. Yeah, he wanted to provide a spark. I'll take things that never happened for 200. I think the key to success here was that Kadeem Carey got to run the ball over 10 times. I think if the Argos give him the ball more than 10 times a game, establish that run some, that opens up the pass, and then Chad Kelly can make his passes and not get picked off every throw. And that's their recipe for success. Run the damn ball. You know, it was working.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Yeah. It was working before Kelly was there. Don't go away from that just because you have a quarterback that can throw the ball better. Continue running the ball because their offensive line can dominate. Kadeem Carey is a punishing runner. I know his average, it wasn't great. It was only 3.7. He had 11 carries for 41 yards, but it's about establishing that run, and that opens up their whole offense a lot better.
Yeah, and I think they have one of the best offensive lines in football. So why would you not try to utilize the thing that will give you, when you run the ball, you get to control the tone of the game, the pace of the game. Something lost, I think, a little bit in today's day and age, whether it's NFL, whether it's college, whether it's pro, whether it's CFL, XFL, running the ball, you kind of get to dictate the terms of the game in a way. If you can have success running the ball, it's strange how much that is forgotten. Yeah. Let's talk about this quarterback situation here. I'm curious your thoughts, because I can't believe that now. Maybe I'm blowing this out of proportion, but I'm just like, Rourke had kind of turned a corner, and you could see his comments after the game. He was not very happy with it, but I don't know. Like, are you fond of the move?
No, not at all, because you got a guy who's just starting to get back into the groove. It looked like he was back in the groove. Yeah, he went 6 for 12 in the first half, but you don't bench him because he's gone 6 for 12, especially when he's shown that he's getting back to this. He's moving the ball down the field and everything. I'm not fond of it at all, because what do you do now? Because Vernon Adams didn't look that good. So do you go back to Nathan Rourke? Have you shaken his confidence now? Is he now afraid that, if I miss 50% of my passes again on just 12 throws, are they going to yank me? That's in the back of his head, and that can fuck with the confidence. It can fuck with your mojo.
I think it can fuck with the rest of the team.
Oh, 100%.
I think the rest of the team is sitting there saying, "What are we doing here?"
Yep. I 100% agree.
It just throws off the rhythm. There's a rhythm to having your starting quarterback, and to me, why take now? Maybe it works out. I've seen 2 quarterback systems. I feel like they're in the minority of working, but I've seen it work before. But I don't know. It was a bit of a head scratcher to me, and I think Vernon Adams is very good and should be starting in this league. Both can be correct. Nathan Rourke and Vernon Adams are both like top 9 quarterbacks in the CFL. Still kind of baffled by that move after you went to him so fast. The Argos, if they play like this, they can beat anybody. If they play that physical ground attack game, they are a team that could beat anybody to me.
Yeah, and it'll be definitely interesting to see next week when they play Hamilton, because if Hamilton loses, Hamilton is out. They no longer can try to squeak into the playoffs. So they're obviously going to bring their best. Can Toronto handle their best and get business done like they did this weekend?
Yeah. Folks, want to tell you that you are listening to the CFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the war against corporate gambling is heating up. And SGPN needs you to do your part. If you could take a couple seconds to rate and review the CFL Gambling Podcast, iTunes, Spotify. All right, get on over to those 2, and if you can give us a review, tell us how much you like the show. We'd certainly appreciate it. It takes about a minute or 2 out of your day. And more importantly, tell a friend. Word of mouth is the heartbeat of SGPN and the CFL Gambling Podcast. All right, we are back on the CFL Gambling Podcast. Toronto with a big road win there against BC. Next, my dog cashes the Ticats 37, the Red Blacks Was this 27 or 21? Did I write this incorrectly?
It was 21.
21. Yeah, I fucked this up. Anyway, Ticats get it done and had a big punt return in this game. Total yardage was very similar. If anything, Ottawa had a 9-yard advantage. But to me, once again, look at the rushing stats. One team was outrushed by about 40 yards and couldn't, the other one couldn't break that 100-yard barrier. Obviously, special teams play was huge, but the Ticats defense, to me, forcing 5 turnovers. This is something we haven't seen this year. And this is what I mean. Ever since they went out and Chris Jones came in, that defense has been playing with more intensity. And that's why they're somewhat of a dangerous team moving forward. Now, it might be too late because obviously they have a play-in game pretty much coming up. But in general, if you're watching the film from pre-Chris Jones to with Chris Jones, it's a fucking big defense or big difference specifically on the defense. Your thoughts about my Ticats getting it done?
Well, first of all, I don't know what made me madder, the fact that I was so high on Ottawa winning this game or the fact that Hamilton was your dog. I was getting aggravated during the game. Fuck, he's gonna talk about this. He's gonna talk this one up. He was right.
Our future's still alive.
I know. But to what you're saying with the defense, if they squeak into the playoffs, that is got to be looked at as the best move all season, whether you're talking coaching, players, whatever. That's got to be the best move that's been done because it is a night and day difference. This looked like a defense that anybody could run the ball. And I mean, they were putting up the most offensive yards, but losing every game. So to bring in somebody who can say, you guys, you have the right personnel, you're just not playing right. And to get them playing right, genius move, in my opinion. And they are a dangerous team because of that, because like I said, all season, offense has not been their problem. They've been able to move the ball on pretty much every team. It's just been stopping teams. And it looks like they're starting to do that. Switching to Jeremiah Masoli for Ottawa was a little strange to me. But
yes, agreed.
But I realized Drew Brown, he had the interception. He was struggling. I get it, but just seemed weird. Then, yeah, your Ticats got it done. And now they go play Toronto. And I spoiler alert, I mean, I haven't dug into the lines or anything, but I think they can beat them.
Yeah. And do you know who the number 1 offense in the league is?
Is it Hamilton?
Yeah. I mean, this is why they're a dangerous team. They're the only team in the whole entire league that averages over 400 yards per game. They average
it's crazy,
almost 407 yards per game. Right. The closest to that is the Edmonton Eskimos with 392. So like almost 15 yards difference there, 14 yards difference in change.
At the beginning of the season, if I had told you at week 15 the top 2 offenses would be Hamilton and Edmonton, would you believe me?
Well, I bought into Hamilton's offense being legit. Now the Eskimos, no. But it is a fascinating thing. And Winnipeg has the worst offense in the league, and they're sitting there looking to be in decent shape.
Yeah.
Someone figure it out. And they're like 60 yards behind Hamilton. It's like, how the hell are you winning games?
Speaking of Winnipeg, just breaking news. It's official. They have signed to their practice roster Brian Scott and Jake Dolegala. With Chris Streveler being out, help is on the way.
There you go. There we go. I mean, what's crazy is Hamilton's I mean, the Eskimos have the worst defense in the league. It's fascinating. Like Winnipeg does have the best defense in the league, and maybe that's why they're able to actually, if you look at like the defensive numbers, it's better than like if you grab the top offensive teams, it kind of looks like a couple of these teams won't be in the playoffs. Whereas defensively, you look at it's Winnipeg, it's Toronto, it's Montreal. It's defense wins. Defense makes the playoffs, I guess would be what a quote that you could say. The nightcap was Montreal, Calgary. Once again, you filthy fucking league. God, whether it's the NFL or whether it's CFL. And did you see Jake Mayer's comments after the game? It's fucking great.
I did not. What'd he say?
They're like, how do you feel about this? You've never been involved, or have you ever been involved with a tie before? He goes, no, I haven't. And it feels weird. And I don't know what to say. It's a strange feeling. Like you don't have the agony of defeat and you don't also feel great because you didn't win. And he goes, I would have liked to know one of the two outcomes or something to that extent. And I'm with him. There's nothing worse than watching a sporting event whether it ends in a tie. There should never be a tie. I don't care if you got to load up and go for 2-point conversions. Just give me an outcome. We didn't
soccer.
Yeah, we didn't sign up for the game to sit there and not have an outcome. Now, having said this, I have some questions about Montreal moving forward. They're starting to crack a little bit. And Calgary, where the hell was this the past few weeks? And once again, they were in position to win this game. Their defense couldn't make a play down the stretch. Montreal pushed the game to overtime. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I put Montreal, I think, let me check my notes, third last week in the power rankings. This week it's tough because the two I had above them lost. I mean, it's kind of getting a little jumbled at the top, but more so I think this was just Montreal being a little asleep at the wheel. I think they just kind of thought, hey, it's Calgary. We already locked the playoffs up. Yeah, we want to win the division, but it's Calgary. And they fell asleep. And Jake Mayer should feel like a winner because he didn't throw any interceptions. And right now he needs to take some baby steps and look at that as a win because he's been awful at giving the ball away. So he should at least feel like that's a win. But no, they got to get rid of these ties. I mean, can you imagine like a basketball game ending in a tie? Or they just got to get rid of it. Do something.
Well, I think like the fan experience. Like, why are we doing this? You want fans?
Right, yeah.
To me, whenever I go to a game, and I went to one NFL game and it was a tie, and I was like, "Good God, that was a waste of my day. It was a waste of my day. I didn't come here to see no outcome, right? I am paying for. Yes, do I want to watch football, but also I want an outcome. I want a winner and I want a loser.
Yeah,
and I don't understand any league that continues to do this." Anyway, I mean, I guess Calgary, who's this benefit more? Cause it does benefit Montreal. They didn't lose. Right. Also, Calgary, you kind of, stay in the mix a little bit there because honestly, like you stay in the mix because you didn't actually lose. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like you're one game back from the playoffs still if you're Calgary, which is insane. Considering how bad they're only lately.
Yeah, they're only one game behind Edmonton and Saskatchewan. So, yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird. They should not be in the playoffs, but there is a scenario where they can get in the playoffs.
And with the way they play at home, it's possible that they could get there because at home they've been pretty good all year. So I don't know. We're going to talk about more of that playoff race in a second here, but I want to tell you the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is always adding to their awesome menu. They now have first touchdown projections. There is a ton of ways to win with the NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, and of course the CFL. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boost and no sweat entries. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries as well. So what are you doing? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right. I want to just, let me see if I can quickly just load this up. But, hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can just share my screen here because I find this one quite.
Just make sure you share the right one.
Yeah, let's not have Debbie Does Dallas on for them, but
thought maybe you were doing some extra research on the Pam Anderson huge tits parlay.
Back in always looking to do extra research on that, which it did not hit this week though. No. You look at these standings, man. This is the one thing I'll say is it is exciting because every damn team is alive still, and you're at week 16. There's only a few more weeks of the season. And if you're a fan of any of these teams, so in that regard, I think if you're the CFL, you're happy. You're sitting there. We got 4 games this week, not 3, but Winnipeg is clinging. I can't talk to a 7-6. What, up by a half a game on the BC Lions. Saskatchewan is what, a game and a half back because of the tie. Edmonton is 2 games back, and Calgary, what's crazy is Calgary could still get the 1 seed. Theoretically, they could.
Don't say things like that.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's just a fascinating race there in the West, and then in the East. Okay, we know Montreal's clinched, but the fact that Hamilton's still alive is fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
And I hope they win just to keep this race going. I know it's at Toronto on Friday night, but what do you make of this just intense race? But Montreal being the only one coasting.
Yeah. I mean, I said it, I think last week, that I love when we get closer to the playoff race and there's actually a race, because it leads to good football and exciting matchups. I mean, if you look at this week's slate, we have Toronto and Hamilton. That's going to have playoff implications, because if Toronto wins, Hamilton's out. Saskatchewan and Calgary. That's a huge game for Calgary, because they could then bump above Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Winnipeg plays Edmonton. So Winnipeg could further their lead, especially with BC having a bye. And then you have Montreal and Ottawa. Ottawa could still clinch the division. So, I mean, every single matchup has huge playoff implications. And I think that makes for great football. It makes for obviously hard to predict football, because teams are going to throw everything. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I love this time of year.
Well, and I think just from a fan perspective, if you love the CFL, you're sitting there saying it's almost like a dream scenario in a way. Like, I get it. You always like having that team, and you could argue Montreal is that team, but like, as a fan, I think you're just sitting there saying, whoa, all 4 of these games are substantial. And, moving forward, even if Hamilton gets eliminated, the other games, even if Saskatchewan beats Calgary will theoretically still be alive. It just makes for a very exciting, final few weeks of the regular season.
For sure.
So, all right, let me stop sharing this. All right, get Debbie Does Dallas out of here. But yeah, let's get to our power rankings, because any other notes you want to take on these outcomes and this race before we do our power rankings? I know it's a shorter show, but
just that, we talked about it 4 weeks ago. We said Winnipeg's making the playoffs, right? And now they're leading the division kind of out of nowhere with the worst offense. Yeah, right. With a very, very good chance of making the playoffs. Sometimes just that winning DNA wins over, whether you have a shit offense. Sometimes just the winning DNA helps you get the job done. Yeah.
Culture. All right, folks. So look, before we dive into the our power rankings, I want to tell the fine people out there that the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by BetUS. Yes, a bet with the best in the business. BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can bet anywhere, by the way. Don't get confused with the title BetUS. All right, it's available in a ton of locations, including internationally. BetUS just launched their all new live betting experience. Easily deposit using cryptocurrency. You got lightning fast payouts. I like. I was over at BetUS checking this out earlier. Appalachian State college football Thursday night. Take care of South Alabama -7. So what are you doing? Hop on over there. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Woo! Not 1, not 2, but 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, SGPN's proud partner. Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Rhythm AI had a great NFL week 2 with a 22.5% ROI on NFL spread bets and a 44.3% ROI on NFL money line bets. So what are you doing? I know the NFL has that wacky ass bullshit kickoff, but there's money to be made. All right. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press the build model for you, and Rhythm will give you predictions for every game and player prop. They also have a slew of stats, research, trend analysis to give you even more betting insight. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Once again, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right. We are back. I wanted to ask you this before the power rankings. Which game are you most excited to see next week? Hamilton, Toronto, Friday night. Also Saskatchewan, Calgary, Friday night. Then Saturday, Montreal, Ottawa. And Saturday, Winnipeg, Edmonton. The Eskimos looking to continue to stay red hot.
I think two teams that were put on notice a little bit, Montreal and Ottawa. I think both of them need to bounce back, and only one's going to be able to. So that's the one I'm looking most forward to. I think those are two of the more talented teams in the league as well.
Yeah. Fair. This is going to be, I think, our hardest power rankings yet.
Yes, I agree.
I really believe that. Like, I think like
a lot of jumbledness.
Going through this exercise, I got arrows pointed left and right. Who do you have at team 9? Because I struggled with this. I went with Calgary still.
Yeah, same. I think, shout out to them for getting a tie, I guess, but I think it was more of Montreal, a little bit of sleep at the wheel. And they still aren't playing great football. So yeah, I have them at 9 as well.
All right, let's see if we do have the same at number 8. I have the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, I do as well. I had them a little higher last week. But Ticats, they're playing better, so it's hard to keep them at 8 where I had them last week. So yeah, I put Saskatchewan down there. I don't believe in this team anymore. Yeah.
My thing is they lost so many close games, and then they switched the quarterback. I feel like Corey Mace is up against himself in a way because of the logic on some of that stuff. But it's razor thin. But at number 7, I have the Hamilton Ticats, but they got the #1 offense in the league by a lot. If they could just play a little bit of defense, they could win out. And they seem to be playing better defense. So at number 7, I think the Hamilton Ticats. Tell me you have them at number 7 too.
I do. We're seeing eye to eye here.
I guess this wasn't the hardest exercise.
This is the most exercise I'm getting all day, though. So
there you go. I mean, do you care to make a point about why you have Hamilton there?
Their offense is great. Their defense is looking better. I still don't know if they can be a team that can get into the playoffs and win playoff games. It's really jumbled between, for me, 1 to 4 and 5 to 9 are all kind of jumbled.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like though, if they could just play as good as defense as I saw the other night, they could win out. But they also need to not turn the ball over. Bo Levi Mitchell has had games where he turns the ball over a lot. So at number 6, apparently this is where it gets dicey. For me, it's the Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah, I almost put them at 7 just because they're another team that likes to flip flop on the quarterback. And I think that has bit them in the ass sometimes. But yeah, I also have Edmonton at number 6. Interested to see what they do this weekend. They got a big game.
Yeah. And you're right. And momentum is definitely still in their favor. ever since they turned to Jarius Jackson. All right, at number 5, I had a really hard time, but I have the Ottawa Red Blacks. I don't understand the quarterback move. I still think the team is iffy away from Ottawa. And that's my logic there.
I'm having to rewrite some stuff because I just realized at both 4 and 5, at 4 I have Toronto and at 5 I have Argos. So they're the 4th and 5th team. I'm going to go with the Argos at number 5. I know they got the win. Still not a believer in this team. And of course, fuck Chad Kelly.
Oh man, he's still just not buying in. He's just reluctant to okay. Fair enough. At number 4 in my power rankings, I have the BC Lions. I think this is an issue. Just when I thought they were starting to figure things out, I just believe this is an issue in the locker room. You can't keep doing this. So I will, dock them a few points there. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I also have BC at number 4. I had to scoot them down since I had Toronto and Argos and was missing a team. This quarterback changing and everything that's going on is going to run them into the ground unless they can get it figured out quickly.
Yep. And then at number 3, I have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We'll see how they do. I still feel like you could argue them too. You could also argue them 6th. So I believe in the team's defense is legit. Obviously, losing Strevler is not great. I always thought he was better than Caleros. I feel like I'm in the minority there with that, but yeah, they're consistent in a league that's not consistent. I feel like they're one of the more consistent teams. Who do you got at 3?
Not liking that you have not said the Argos yet, meaning that they are 2 or 1 in your power rankings. Talk about a team that's not consistent. I have Ottawa at number 3. They lost, they got their asses kicked, but I still think they're a really talented team. I think they can bounce back. Starts this weekend with a really tough matchup against Montreal, who also needs to bounce back. But I do think Ottawa is going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see about them. I'm losing faith a little bit in Ottawa. Rod Villagomez, host of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and formerly of the CFL Gambling Podcast, was probably sprinkling fairy dust on you over there over the weekend. But number 2 for me is the Argos, and really it has to do with the potential. I think they have the best offensive line in the league, and I can't say that about Ottawa. You know what I mean? I can't say that about certain teams that are in contention. BC, we don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. We know Toronto's quarterback will be Chad Kelly, whether you like him or not. And I think that certainly pays off. What's that? You broke up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I agree with you. Number 2 for me is Winnipeg. We talked about it, winning DNA. They're leading the division right now after they started looking like they were going to be out of this completely to start the year. Strevler getting hurt. It's very unfortunate. He's going to miss the rest of the year, probably miss part of next year as well. So I love what they did in bringing in 2 quarterbacks that have shown that they can win in the CFL and they can do well. Because Caleros is not going to be around forever. This may be his last year. So to bring in some young guys to say, let's see if we can coach these guys up and give them a shot to fight for the starter. I really like that move. I think they're a very well coached organization. And they're going to be tough to beat just because of that winning DNA. They've been there before. They're going to get to the playoffs. They're not going to have the nerves. They've been there before.
I like it. And he keeps forcing Zach Caleros into retirement,
He has not been the same Zach Caleros this year as we've seen in the past.
At number 1, I have the Alouettes. They've never left my number 1, unlike somebody over there. They're always going to be number 1 to me. They didn't lose last week. All the other top teams, I think from power ranking standpoint, because I had Toronto further back last week, lost. Montreal, they just do what they do. All right. and not lose. And I still think they're playing with house money a little bit. So Alouettes team to beat to me. Obviously they won the Grey Cup last season. You have the Alouettes back at number 1, huh?
Yeah. Yep. I'll admit my mistake from last week of putting Ottawa number 1, and then they blew it. I still think good teams win, great teams cover. Montreal couldn't get the cover done, but I do think it was a little bit of a sleep at the wheel type of deal. And we talked about it before, like sometimes before the playoffs, it's good to get that wake up call of like, hey, we got to get our shit together. Because obviously you can't end a playoff game in a tie, especially against a team that is not nearly as good as yours. So I think it's a good wake up call. I think they're going to come out swinging this weekend. So yeah, I got them back at number 1, where they belong, where they should be. I apologize to the CFL gambling gods.
You're the only, I think we've had Montreal number 1 every week since like week 1, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you veered off that path. He's trying to be a little shock jock over there. You know what I mean?
Tried to get cute, didn't work out.
It was a shock. I thought it's a mistake. I'm like Popeye.
Anyway, folks, that's our show. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter at CFL Gambling Pod. Also, like I said, iTunes, Spotify, get on over there. Give us a 5-star review. Come on, it takes like 1 minute out of your day, 2 minutes out of your day. YouTube also, if we could up our subscriptions, we're trying to get, if we can get 25 more subscriptions before the end of the season, I'll feel good about this story that we're doing here. This year 1 rehash of the CFL Gambling Podcast. All right, 25 more people. Get on over there, hit that like and subscribe button, and just type in CFL Gambling Podcast. You will get that action. I got a good feeling our huge tits parlay are going to cash this week. And if you're wondering when our pick show is, it will be tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow, same time. We're going to get that thing out there. So you got a couple days to listen, a couple days to feel out those huge tits parlays and, figure them all out. Give J Mark a follow on Twitter at JMarkFootball. Make sure if you ever need any advice on no-turn lawnmowers to let him know. He did not only CFL and UFL and NFL picks. He will talk to you about your lawnmowers, gardening, all good stuff like that. Bomb shelters. Or they call those tornado shelters. I always thought they were called bomb shelters. I always saw the worst in the world. All right. Anyway, give J Mark, check out the UFL Gambling Podcast and check out the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. What are you guys tackling right now?
Yeah, every Monday it's waivers and then giving the history of a whiskey and reviewing it on its own. Thursday it start sits and drinking it in old fashioned. We're also doing best bets every episode. And as a podcast, we are plus 17.2 units right now. So you don't want to miss out on the best bets. We're making you money. Yeah, get on over there, making you money. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. Give me a follow there. Check out the College Football Experience and the Stadium Heads podcast, where we talk about football stadiums and just stadiums in general. Also, check out the Sports Gambling Podcast, the Bottom Line Bombs Podcast, the College Basketball Experience, the NHL Gambling Podcast. Hey, hockey, or Canadians, what the fuck? It's your number 1. Get on over there, subscribe to the NHL Gambling Podcast and the NBA Gambling Podcast. Check out all that good stuff, and excited to be back in 24 hours talking, because my DFS lineup is going to destroy this week. I was looking. Got them right where I want them. All right. Till next time, folks. This is the CFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the gamblers. Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And you know what you're getting, because the books we written with the gamblers. Everybody's trying to stop this team.